Today we're going to be talking about Melani Pawlowski. I've done quite a few videos about her, and the trial is coming up quick for the attempted murder of her then husband, Brandon Boudreaux. Now, for those of you who don't know who that is, he is the nephew to Lori Daybell, who's already been tried and accused of unaliving enough people that she is now considered a serial killer. She still has more jurors to face, and that has to do with the attempt on Brandon Boudreaux's life. But the thing that I want to talk about today is not Lori. I want to talk about Lori's niece, Melani, Melanice, as we in the industry call her. Why? I've done many videos over the course of a couple of years, and I still cannot figure out why it is that Melani is not on trial as well as a co-conspirator. There has been so much evidence that she was aware, and I can't figure out how she's gone unscathed in this. I want you to listen to a recording that Melani did when she was trying to get Brandon into trouble when they were fighting over custody. I've done a couple of these, but this one I think is interesting. It's like watching a parallel universe between her and Lori. What she's accusing Brandon of is the same thing Lori was accusing Charles of before Charles was. All these allegations of affairs and being gay and mismanaging money and drugs and running with the wrong crowd and all this stuff. It's all the same. They were using the same narrative. And I just think it's interesting. So let's listen to this interview. And then I also want to recap all the reasons why I believe that Miss Melani should face charges. And I can't for the life of me figure out why. Why on earth is she going unscathed? Is it because it's too hard to prove? But to me, the proof is in the pudding. Let's take a look.
Yes, Melanie, I do. Thank you for trying to get me to remember. But yes, I remember you. How are you today?
Oh, okay. How are you?
I'm all right. What can I help you with?
I'm just calling. I'm trying to figure out. I'm not sure what kind of happened with the case, and you said to call if anything kind of came up or found out any more information.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon and I have a mediation agreement on 50-50, and he was supposed to drop the kids off at school today and drop my daughter off, and he hasn't taken them to school, and he said he has the kids and they're safe, but he's refusing to go with the agreement. And I found some things out about his family, just that they're been into drugs. They're kind of some of the same things I told you that he had been into. I'm just kind of worried about them. I don't want to make a big fuss about all this. I don't want to call the cops and make everything a big drama ordeal. I just worried about him and worried about the kids, and I feel like something's off.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you've kind of heard back on anything, and if kind of what you're thinking. But
well, we're waiting. We're still waiting back on some of the legal processes we've sent out, and we're gathering some evidence to identify a few things that are just not adding up. As far as the custodial arrangement goes between you and Brandon, is there? You said there's court paperwork, the mediation that you guys had?
Yeah. So per our agreement, he was supposed to drop the kids off at school this morning, and then our daughter this morning, and he just said, "I'm not coming."
Okay.
And he's not taking the kids to school, so I'm just worried something might be up with him, and I don't want to make a big fuss about anything, but I'm trying to just hold to our agreement that we've set in place. So.
Okay. I can reach out to him and see if he has further information about that, about the custody and why he's not taking the kids to school. Is there anything? Has there anything developed between you or anything that you know of as far as him and the kids or anything that would make him so he doesn't take the kids to school?
Well, I found out a lot of stuff about his family, just that they're not into some good things. And I had mentioned to him, I said, I think I want to I want to maybe move. It's hard to be in the same state with him and all this stuff going on. Like, I just don't want to be involved with whatever he's into. Feels like, and I don't want to, I can't take the kids out of state. So I just said, hey, I think I'm going to move. We need to come up with a decision and, a different agreement for the kids. And maybe, they stay here in school with you, or maybe I take them and we start new schools. But let's, we can go to mediation again, or if we can come to a mutual agreement. And so I just said, we'll talk, I might move next week. I don't know. I just want to figure out. All this drama is just kind of ridiculous. I just want to get to a point where we can kind of have, a clean break from each other and have just, a normal life again. So, he'd been traveling to Vegas several days this summer for work while I had full custody of the kids, and found out his family there has been into drugs and drug dealing and tons of stuff. And so I'm just trying to figure out a way to have the kids safe and away from this stuff, but not, I don't want to take them away from him. They left their dad. I just want to make sure he's safe and not into stuff that,
Well, I can tell you the conversations and communications I've had with him since the incident, there hasn't been any signs of influence, drugs or alcohol even.
Okay.
And I've been in pretty consistent contact with him since the attempted homicide. Like I said, there are other legal avenues going about, and I can assure you, at least the last time I spoke with Brandon, which was this morning, the kids were okay.
Okay.
I don't know what his long game is as far as custody or anything. That's going to be something you guys are going to have to handle through the civil courts and your mediation and through the divorce. From what I understand, the divorce isn't complete yet either. So I'm combing through a lot of legal documents and electronic data. So that all being said, I don't know what his intentions are. Why he's not taking his kids to school, that's going to be something you're going to have to communicate with him directly. But if you both are concerned about the welfare of your children, that's something you're going to have to present to a court and come to some sort of agreement.
Okay.
As far as since our last conversation, has anything come to light, or have you noticed anything else that could be helpful to this investigation to identify potential leads?
I've found out where he's traveled to. He was in Oregon the other weekend. I think he has somebody lined up that he's been dating for a while who thinks he's been divorced a year. His Square receipts came to my email, and he told me he was moving that weekend. And so there's just been a lot of extra traveling going on. And I know he was in Vegas and hanging out with a cousin who's into drugs and alcohol. And so I don't really know what's truth and what's not, because I've been told different things by him. So as far as that, I've just kind of found out stuff about his family and him traveling.
When you say found out stuff about family, what did you find out about his family?
That his uncle in Vegas there is dealing with drugs, and also his son who was living with Brandon for a time. So Brandon's cousin was living with him and into drugs and some not other good things. And I don't want to start.
When you say drugs, what kind of drugs?
All sorts. Ecstasy. I'm not great with drug names. I'm not.
Fair enough. When you say other stuff, what other things are they doing?
I think there's been some abuse going on in his family. That's kind of been hidden and under the radar. There's just been a lot of stuff that they don't talk about that's come to light recently. And so...
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say that it kind of, all these behaviors and things I've noticed with Brandon, like, I think there was, like, some trauma or something that he was associated with that kind of add up to all these things. And so,
what was his uncle's name that lived in Vegas?
Chris Boudreaux, I believe.
And then what about his cousin's name?
Cousin's name is Chance. It's Chants.
Chancs?
TS, so T is in tiger, like Chance. Kind of spelled weird. And that's both Boudreaux.
Okay. And so you believe that those ones are involved in some sort of illegal dealings and some sort of drug activity?
Yeah, I know Brandon's been close with them and traveling and stuff, and so I'm like, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I just want to make sure my kids are safe.
Oh, absolutely. And again, when it comes down to what I'm investigating, it's an attempted homicide. Somebody tried to kill Brandon, and I don't know if it's somebody from family, if it's somebody from friends, if it's somebody from business.
Right.
And like I said, we're combing through a lot of information and everything, so there's been a lot of suspicious
and that's why
happenings.
That's why I say all this. I just want to make sure I don't want anything to happen to my kid's dad, and I don't want, I just want all this to kind of blow over if that's even possible. So,
I would like that too, but I don't think it will. At least now that we're involved. So, you said you may be moving. When are you going to be moving?
I don't have plans in stone. I kind of brought that up to him because I just don't feel it's hard being here. Like, I've been constantly bullied and manipulated by him, and it just keeps going on, and I just don't know how to live here and kind of find happiness with all this going on. So I don't have, like, a lot of family here, and I kind of just threw that out there, like, can we come up to some sort of new arrangement so that we can, kind of both move on? I know he wants to move on. He's already been dating this girl and wants to be remarried. And like you said, like, strangely, our divorce is not final yet when we started the process in July, so something's going on with mediation and the court not signing off on it. And so
has it been, did you put any delay on it, or did you try to cancel anything on it?
No, absolutely not. I contacted our mediator, and she said everything was submitted. I called the court, and the court said, no, we don't have anything on record. We still show that Brandon's petitioned for divorce, and you haven't responded. And I was like, well, I responded in July when we both were in mediation. And then I called the mediator, and she's like, oh, it's the court system. It takes forever. So I don't know on which end. I'm assuming it's our mediator that perhaps didn't. She hasn't been great about staying in contact with us and emailing us. So I don't know what's going on with that. I would love to have that be final, because I've tried. Like I said, I wanted to buy out of all the businesses, anything he's into right now. Like, I don't want to be held liable for anything he's into.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's so that's not done yet. But as far as the move goes, you don't have set dates or.
No, I told him, I said, I want to move next week, and I've been very vague because I don't know yet. I just need to be able, we haven't been able to really communicate without, I try to not communicate unless we absolutely have to, just because there's been a lot of bullying, and so I just.
And when you say bullying, do you have records of that, or because from what I understand, you guys predominantly communicate via text message.
Yeah, we try to just do text, and so it's most of the time, like, if it's whenever it's in person, which, he'll say all the things in mediation correct, and then as soon as we walk out of mediation, he'll make comments and threats, and so I don't have stuff recorded. I need to be better about that. Mm-hmm. As far as, I've tried to just communicate through text and not call, so we don't have to
No, that makes sense.
go that route.
Okay. But you are not, as far as right now, you don't have set plans, but if you needed to move or could move, you could be moving as soon as next week?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm like, this is not a good time to move. He's obviously, there's something going on. I wanted to just...
Because you've only lived at your place for a short time, right?
Yeah, I've only lived here, we moved in July, so we're renting, and I have a year lease agreement. I don't want to move. I want to stay here, but I feel like I can't, like, with all this stuff going on and the constant, like, threats and bullying from him. So I was like, let's try to come up with an arrangement so we don't have to, like, it's hard to see him every day, and all the things he's saying about me are hard. I know, like, word gets around quick, and he's just said a lot of untrue things, and that's hard.
But who is he saying this to?
He's said it to my family. He said it to everybody here. Like, we had a lot of mutual friends because he has a ton of people in his companies that he's worked with. Some people that have kind of turned their back on him because he's screwed them over in business deals, but a lot of other, just our close friends, people are cautious to come around me. I can't go to the gym without people, like they don't know what's going on. They just think I'm a crazy person. So, which is totally like a narcissistic, like, gaslighting. I confronted him about being gay, and he's super upset about it, and now saying I'm crazy and that, whatever he can. And so that just confuses people, and people don't know what to think about that, and so it's hard to be here.
Where would you be going to?
I threw out Boise, Idaho, because it's in the middle of nowhere, and I have a couple friends that live in Seattle area, and some that just moved to Idaho from Seattle, and so I was like, I just want to be somewhere that's just away from all that, like, have just a fresh start, and kind of just try to find happiness again. So, I mean, I don't have a plan. I felt frustrated being here, and I wanted to come up with a new agreement so we don't have to see each other all the time.
Okay. Because there are records that come back to Boise, Idaho, that I've obtained so far during this investigation. Does anybody else that you know live out there?
Did you say there's no records?
There are records.
Oh, there are records.
Connected to Boise. That's interesting that you bring that up, because there's some correspondence from there, or at least it appears to be from there, but we're trying to tie that all together still. There's some other areas of this investigation that are involving the federal government, FBI, right now.
So
is there more that you know?
More that I know.
Melanie, there's information I've been presented with and some evidence that tell me that other people are involved that you may have relations with. And I would like you, if you have more information, I'd like you to be forthcoming early on so I don't find out something later on.
Yeah, well, I've tried to just be, completely honest with everything I have, and the only other thing that, I don't know, I worry about Charles Vallow and what he was into. And I think at one point, they had found out in the family he was, like, on an ISIS hit list or something, and they called and warned him and his wife, my Aunt Lori, and they were like, there's nothing to be alarmed of, but we just need to let you know. So, like, I don't know.
Who made that phone call?
Who made the phone call? They were notified.
Who notified them? I guess is a better way for me to ask that.
I don't know what department, I guess, if that's what you're asking, that would call them. They just said, like, oh my gosh, we just found out that he was, like, on a ISIS hit list or something, and they had to notify him, but a lot of people were on this list, I guess, but they legally had to notify him, and so they were kind of like, well, what do we do? And they're like, well, we don't know. And so nothing kind of ever happened with that I know of. That just, that's the questions that come up like that, and it's like, what's going on with what's going on with Charles? Like, what was he doing? What business? And it concerns me because Brandon was doing business with him.
Okay.
So, as far as my pick with Boise, I feel like I have a lot of family in Utah too, and it's kind of like, and I have family in Seattle, so it's kind of like a middle point of, I've never been to Boise other than driving through, so I was like, maybe, I don't know, I haven't even visited Boise, so.
It's quite the move to go somewhere that you don't.
It's a leap, and when you just feel like alone in that, you don't know, like, my whole world's come crashing down. I was happily married for 10 years, and then finding out my husband's gay, and then him turning around and telling everybody I'm crazy because there's no way he's gay. So, and I've seen him drive a wedge between, he has a lot of anger and vengeance towards my Aunt Lori Vallow, who he thinks was the one who first outed him on being gay. He thinks she told me and was on to him first about him being gay. And many people and videos and other things came forward about that. It wasn't her. And I'm not upset about him being gay if that's what I told him, I said, if you can just tell me, like, we'll work through this. Like, we have kids together. But he was so adamant, like, no, I'm not doing any of this. You're crazy. And now all these things, like him threatening to get my records removed from my church I go to, like, just hateful things that I would never do to him for the actions he's done. I just want, if there's any sort of way to move forward from things and just not involve our kids and just let the kids just have a normal life, like, that's what I want, if there's any way to do that. So,
yeah, and that, again, that's going to be something that mediation through the courts, as strenuous as it is, that's really the only correct way to do it with the legal system that we live in.
Right.
And I do agree that it does come.
But I feel better if you're saying you're in contact with him and that the kids are safe. Like, I kind of felt like I was upset at first when, like, I found out they weren't at school, because I'm like, what is he up to? Like, he's supposed to drop my daughter off. He's been working directly with the Yule family, who they drive him everywhere now, and just went up to Utah with them over the weekend.
The what family? I mean, so I can have that documented. What family was it?
Yule's, E-W-E-L-L. His first name is Brandon Yule.
Okay, and how do you know that he was with them?
So every time we meet now, he has them drop them off. He's been chauffeuring him around ever since the thing happened with the car. So
shooting.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Okay, so you've seen him with the Yule family. That's how you know that he's with them or been with them.
Yeah, and the kids said they've been sleeping there at their house. Like, I don't think they've been home. They just sleep at their house. And then they all rented an RV this weekend and went to Utah all together to stay with the Brandon's family up there.
Okay. You said earlier that Brandon, tried to drive a wedge between you and Lori?
Yeah.
Okay. How did he try to do that?
He noticed that we started to, I don't know if you remember, they did a juice truck business in Hawaii together, Charles and Lori, and Brandon tried to get involved, and I didn't feel good about it. I was like, I don't want to do business with family, even if we're going to make a ton. Like, I love my family, and I don't want there ever to be, like, money to get in the way of that. And he insisted on doing it. Charles and Brandon were the two key people on that investment, and they both, it just crumbled to the ground, and then Brandon used that, like, well, your aunt's irresponsible, you shouldn't talk to her, she wasted our money, when she didn't really have anything to do with it. And so that was the first time he started to kind of drive that wedge there. And then anytime family gatherings and stuff, like, he just made it a point, kind of like, pick me or pick her, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, she was like a mom to me for many years, because she would help with our son and stuff.
Yeah.
Because my mom passed away. So he's tried to say, you know, Lori's crazy, you know, shouldn't talk to her, and she's religious and just all these things to try to make her sound crazy to me. And then the whole thing that happened with Charles, when Charles went to the house and then was shot by my uncle, he flipped that whole story and said, do you still think I'm gay because they just murdered Charles? And I hadn't heard about it yet. And I freaking read it in the news, and it was a total different story. And then find out later, like, that was the whole plan to try to turn family against each other.
And because of the Chandler incident, I would be interested to talk with either Lori or your uncle.
Yeah, well, I gave you their phone numbers today.
Yeah, I haven't reached out to him yet, but.
Oh, okay.
You still keep contact with them?
Yeah, I try to. Like, it's hard because I know they're living their own lives, and I'm going through this right now. This has been a handful for me, and trying to just figure it out has been...
Yeah, and they've been through a traumatic experience, too. I mean, I get
right.
it. But, have they stayed here, or have they gone somewhere else?
She flew in and visited us for a few days when I got to have the kids, so we got to have some fun with the kids. Lori did.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, as far as I know, he drives trucks, or he doesn't really, I don't think he's here. He did rent a house down in Queen Creek.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lease, I think, on it. So, but
you don't know if he still hangs out there or not?
Yeah, I don't think he does, but I feel like, I don't know, like, I'm closer with Lori and try to, like, she's been sweet. She went through a bunch of the same stuff. Her husband was kind of bullying, narcissistic, same type of stuff, and so she's just been sweet and supportive through having to go through this. So, and
she might help be able to paint a better picture of Brandon as well if I need to talk to her later on.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd be happy to help in any way. Like, she was worried too when I told her, like, somebody's trying to shoot at Brandon, and we both are like, well, what about the kids? And so, yeah, anything I can give you that helps.
Yeah, and I, like I said, there probably will be here in the near future. That's why if you do leave out of state, if you can shoot me a call or something, just let me know.
Well, I mean, I don't feel like I should right now with all this going on. Like, I don't want to leave my kids and leave my kids with him. So.
Yeah, and like I said, it's going to come down to a mediation type agreement to actually set something in stone if you do decide to move. I don't know what the situation is right now, but if you were to just up and leave state, I don't know if that would be allowed per your agreement. If it is allowed, then I'm guessing he doesn't want that to happen now that he knows that you want to move. I'm sure that you wouldn't want him to do the same, so it may be worth reaching out and communicating with him to come to a conclusion for that.
Yeah, trying to. Haven't heard back. That's why I was like, I don't know what to do now. So.
Yeah, and you guys predominantly use text message. That's still correct, right? Unless you meet in person.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll reach out, and I can reach out for you as well. I don't want to become a mediator. Let me be clear about that.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to call you and make you be a mediator. I didn't know if this had to do with something that he's into, and so I was like, if you had.
This is the first I've heard of it, of the kid issue. I do know that he's reached out to other entities as he can and as you can, and so maybe that has some involvement to it. I'll let him know that I spoke with you though. And encourage him to reach out to you so you guys can communicate as clear as possible about the kids, and maybe just the kids only, right? I mean, I don't want you guys going into different avenues and creating a text argument that doesn't look good. So,
well, what do you mean? You think I should reach out to different entities? Like, what does that mean?
That's up to you. I mean, if you want to seek legal assistance or if you want to seek help from the courts or things of that nature. I know he's asked me questions similar like what you've asked me as far as kids and mediation and things of that sort. And like I told you, it comes down to the family courts. If you need assistance, that's what they're there for, and you can reach out to them to give you legal assistance if needed.
Okay.
But especially when it comes down to your 4 children, the best way for you guys to keep them as unfazed as possible is to maintain a good communication with each other, you and Brandon, to keep it as clean and clear as possible, so the kids have very little involvement or witness to things behind the scenes.
Okay.
So, like I said, I will probably reach out to you later on with some other questions. Do you have anything else for me right now? Questions, comments, concerns?
I don't think I do.
All right. Okay. Well, if that changes, or again, if you do decide to go out of town, be it for a couple weeks or indefinitely, please just let me know so I have a better idea of how to communicate with you and realize, hey, I can't talk to you in person now. I'm going to have to make other arrangements.
Well, as of right now, I don't see myself going next week. I kind of want to make sure everything's okay. And
that's fair. So.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Melanie, thanks for giving me a call, and we'll be in contact.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Now remember, Aunt Lori is going to be going on trial for the attempted murder of Melanie's husband at the time, Brandon Boudreaux. She's since remarried, as I said before. I still am just flabbergasted that Melanie has not had any charges. Let me tell you why. This is disturbing to me. Lori's next trial is coming up quick. This trial, of course, is for the attempted murder on her niece Melanie's husband at the time, Brandon Boudreaux. Melanie has since divorced Brandon, and both Melanie and Brandon are remarried. Now, it's no shock to any of us that Lori would eventually have to face these charges as soon as she was finished with her trial in Idaho. And now that her trial has wrapped for the conspiracy to commit murder of her 4th husband, Charles Vallow, of which she has also been found guilty. But the question of the hour is whether or not she had some co-conspirators. And if so, will they also face consequences as well? That's the question of the hour. Her niece Melanie had some very sketchy interactions, comments, interviews, and that's what I want to talk about today. I want to show you what I have learned over the years, what we've seen, and just kind of compile it all into one easy place to be able to see, did Lori's niece Melanie contribute to the attempted murder? Did she know it was going to happen? Did she participate in any way? I would love to show you all that I have and hear what you think. If you think that the charges are coming, or do you think Melanie, there's not enough and she's off the hook? I just want to talk about Melanie, and when you look at the interview that she gave, a few interviews, but when you look at the one in particular, and she mapped out all the things, a lot of questions were asked her, and she answered all these questions. And now that we've seen the text threads that were brought up in the case between her and Melanie and Chad and Alex and all of this stuff, you realize, oh man, she was lying through her teeth on so many of the things. And I have to say, she was one good liar, because when I was watching that interview before, I kind of was falling for her. I was falling for it. But oh boy, do we know things are different. The one thing that I figured out, she's very much like her Aunt Lori, and that is, if she accuses someone of something, that's usually what she actually is doing. So when she's accusing Brandon of, there's different interviews, but like she accuses him of possibly harming the children, like when she's like pounding on the door, trying to get her kids from the in-laws and blah, 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 because she thinks they're in danger. Look, they were in danger from her, because remember, as it came out in the trial, 2 of her kids were on the dark scale, which means zombie, and she knew it. She knew it. So for her to act like, no, there was no cult, there was no zombies, that's all a joke. No. We now know she knew all of it, and she was buying into it, hook, line, and sinker. So let me show you the video, and then there's one thing that is interesting to me, and that is there were some videos done by different people in Lori's family, or in her circle, so to speak, and they were trusting her. There were neighbors that trusted Chad. There were family members that trusted Chad. They were 100% behind him until the kids were found. And then things changed. You can tell they changed a lot, especially when you look at Lori's sister's call to Lori when she was in jail, or her son Colby's call. No, they did not drink her Kool-Aid anymore, and they were so upset that they had been totally manipulated. But I think there was one person who didn't quite go down that track, and that is Melani Pawlowski. And the reason why I think that she is the one person, I'm going to tell you after I show you this clip and after the video. I'll tell you that at the end. But I have a suspicion, this is my own gut reaction, that she's still buying it. She's still drinking the Kool-Aid, and I feel bad. I feel bad for all of those around her. And I have to say, you'll see why I think that. Now again, this is my opinion, but I have to say that it is a scary thing to think of all the things that her ex-husband, Brandon, had to go through, his kids, their kids, and the fact that I believe she has custody of those kids now. Find out that she believed 2 of them were zombies. Are they really safe? Are they safe today? That's the question I have. Are they safe today? Will she carry it out without Lori and Chad? Apparently not, but that's scary. That is so scary. And anyway, the reason why I think, nope, I'm going to tell it in a minute. First of all, let's watch some of the interview, and so you can see what I'm talking about with all of the lies and alibis. Let's take a peek at some of the whoppers Lori's niece Melani told.
My mom passed away when I was 9, and Lori is one of the closest things to her and how much love my mom showed me. So she's a friend, almost like a mother to me, and an aunt, and somebody that I love.
Is Lori being unfairly portrayed?
It's just not Lori that I see. I see a lot of hatred in the media and a lot of judgment. I see a lot of lies. I don't know where my cousins are, her children, JJ and Tylee, and I love all of them, and I know she's doing whatever she can to keep her kids safe, and I hope we can see how that turns out in the future as truth continues to come forward.
Now, I know this goes way back, and we have all the truth. Truth has, in fact, come forward. The reason I'm showing this clip is it shows a lot about where Melani's head was as far as covering for Lori and where the kids were, etc. Now, if she truly is innocent, which she might be, but there are some suspicious things about that too. So, okay, stick with me. We're going to continue on. Yes, please. Truth is what we're looking for. Here's another question. Did anything seem strange to you in Rexburg?
Well, I moved out there right after my ex took my children from me. There's a lot of lies out there that I've abandoned my children, and it's simply not true. I didn't move down there to be in a cult.
I don't know if I could call that a true statement based on all the proof that came out in the trial.
I didn't move down there to be solely by Lori. Lori's very independent and does her own thing.
Well, that's not quite true either, according to Lori's friend Melanie Gibb, which we will listen to in a minute, but she claims that Melani Pawlowski was totally abandoned when Lori and Uncle Alex were no longer there, because she in fact did go there for them.
I had my own reasons for, kind of having a fresh start and trying to work through my custody battle with my ex.
Oh, really? Well, that's interesting. Well, then answer this question. Did you follow Lori to Rexburg?
I had my own reasons for going, and I love my Aunt Lori, and it absolutely was a benefit to be close to her. She's been somebody that's given me unconditional love.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that she does unconditional love. Didn't you ever wonder where your cousins were?
She was moving for their safety.
This has to be the most ironic statement of everything Melani Pawlowski even said in this interview.
And for those threatening her and to keep JJ and Tylee safe, this was a big move to try to, kind of move forward after Charles was shot and to remain safe with the kids. So as soon as I move up there in November, I see some of their stuff, but I don't see them there. And Lori says that they're safe and they're doing everything they keep them from the people that are trying to harm them. I believe that.
When I first heard this interview, I actually believed Melani believed what she was saying. But I don't anymore, based on what she did after the kids were found. Her Facebook post was astonishing. But I keep jumping the gun. All right, let's get back to where we're at. Okay, if you believe that, did you think the children were zombies or in danger?
I didn't think they were in danger and didn't have those fears and doubts until this welfare check. And then Chad and Lori left. I didn't have contact with them, and I'm absolutely worried. I knew the threats that Lori had been getting, and I don't know what's going on. And so as, being in a new marriage, I'm kind of dumping on him. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about this. Meanwhile, we have all these false accusations and questions about this supposed shooting that Brandon Boudreaux is claiming that happened.
First of all, it's not a supposed shooting. The window was shot out. There's so much evidence, so much was brought out in the trial, and Melani knew it.
And I've yet to see evidence and facts that come forward with that, but he's adamant about, it's Alex Cox that shot at him, and there's been no evidence I've seen. And time I worried, could my uncle have done that? He's so sure, and I've got my own father threatening me and intimidating me with text messages, and I did worry. But when it comes back to it, I know the person Alex is. I haven't seen any evidence.
Really? She's going to defend Alex, which she knows shot Charles already, much less anything else. Yes, she does know the person Alex is.
And Detective Pillar on Gilbert Police never even called Alex or, asked him to come in for a visit.
Did you have anything to do with the attempted murder of your husband, Brandon Boudreaux?
Absolutely not. And Brandon knows that.
So basically, you're telling me that Lori just has a lot of bad luck?
I can't attest to all those different events, but I do know that Charles was there with an agenda, and he was working with Brandon and with Kay, and things didn't go the way he thought.
Now, remember when I said that when Melani accuses someone of something, that tends to be the thing that she is, in fact, doing? Yeah. So she's accusing Brandon, she's accusing Charles, she's accusing Kay of wanting to harm the children, when in fact, better watch out. Those fingers are pointing right back at you, Melani.
Events, but I do know that Charles was there with an agenda, and he was working with Brandon and with Kay, and things didn't go the way he thought.
Well, that's the understatement of the century, since he was shot and killed by your uncle that you knew was going to happen based on the text messages between you and Lori that were brought out during her trial.
Why is nobody asking why Charles had a $2 million policy on Lori?
Really? You're going to talk about insurance policies as a reason why Charles had to die? And that is what was brought out at the murder trial in Idaho, that in fact that was the reason for wanting Charles to die. And she's trying to act like that's the reason why he had to die. Like, I don't even think she realizes how incriminating her words are. Against Lori, against Chad, against her. I mean, this is just gaslighting at its best.
Charles and Brandon did life insurance together, and there's a lot of things that haven't been brought to light, things that aren't being portrayed in the media. They're being hidden so we can run with this cult story and zombies, and it's more exciting than the truth.
Here she is trying to distance herself from the cult, from the zombie theories, from all of that, and yet she was in the thick of it, and there is proof of that. Well, tell me this. Do you think you will see Tylee and JJ again? Now again, this interview was done before the children were found. Their bodies were found, but it still shows where her mindset is. I think we can learn from it, and I'm going to show you how even after they were found, her demeanor about the children didn't change. Do you think you will see Tylee and JJ again?
I do. I absolutely do. I know Lori wouldn't ever do anything to hurt her kids.
At this point, Melanie's declaration is ridiculous because she already knows that they plotted to have Charles killed and carried it out. She also knows that they plotted to have Brandon killed because she is the one who gave him the address. There were only a few people that knew where Brandon even lived. She knew.
I've seen the pain that she's gone through and the abuse and betrayal. I've seen authorities let her down. I've seen court systems let her down. I don't have the answers as to why she does the things she does and why she hasn't spoken as to where they are. But I can't judge her because I don't know what she's going through. I can only love and support her and hope for everyone to be safe.
Okay, I did put some commentation over that because I just couldn't help myself. Wow. Now that we look back on that video and we realize there's so much that we know now, ay, ay, ay. And so here's my thinking. Once JJ and Tylee were found, Melanie, the niece, put a post on Facebook. And I'm going to read you the post because at least a part of it, I think that it is very significant to show where she is. Now remember, this is her Facebook post after Tylee and JJ were found buried in her aunt's new husband's backyard. I will try my best not to sound too sarcastic, but this is crazy time. Tylee loved to have fun and didn't draw into drama, but would use it as a platform for her comedy. Boy, could she make others laugh. She went through a lot of hard things in her life, and she didn't deserve what happened to her. No one does. I truly wish she could go on live television and tell her story, rather than anyone else who has and will in the future. Just know the stakes are set high from that girl. Okay, so far so good. But wait. I know I could never measure up in that regard. As we've all seen, I'm horrible on live television, and I would rather not do it ever again, or to have to talk publicly about trauma my family has gone through. I was always so impressed with Tylee's ability to express herself and communicate well. I wish she was here to clear up all the confusion for us. She would do it better than any of the rest of us could. Melanie's comments are so much like Lori's at her sentencing hearing, where she's saying, they weren't murdered, they weren't this, they weren't that. Just ridiculous. Personally, I think that the children's remains do a pretty good job of telling the story, but let me continue on with the rest of the post. This is the part when I just got sick to my stomach when I read it. Tylee was one of the wittiest, spunkiest individuals I have ever had in my life. She didn't let what other people thought get to her. If you knew Tylee, she would probably be giving the biggest eye roll at all the drama unfolding in the media. To anyone using this terrible situation to express their hate and blame on others, she would probably tell you off because she was the sassiest thing ever and wasn't afraid to say how she felt. What kind of person, even in someone's death, would say, oh, they'd be upset that the media thinks it's ridiculous that they got murdered? I think that it is very significant to show where she is or was at that time. And she certainly, shows that even to this day, when she watched some of the testimonies so she wouldn't have to be a witness, she was going to be a hostile witness, I think. And she's still drinking the Kool-Aid. Will there be charges? What do you think? Do you think that there could still be charges for her? There is a theory out there that Melanie might have been the getaway driver for Uncle Alex when her then husband was shot at. Let me show you a clip from a post I did earlier. Perhaps Melani Pawlowski could have been the getaway driver. And I initially thought, no, I don't think so. I think it was probably Alex, and he jumped in the driver's seat and drove away. A lot of research. I've been combing every kind of document that I can find. And I have to say, I think you're all onto something. I agree. You've changed my mind. And I think it's an interesting concept, and here's why. Right off the bat, when Brandon first called 911 and the police were there with body cams, and I watched all those videos, hours of different angles and different whatever, I watched it all, but he immediately said, they shot at me. He said, there's something to the effect, there's no way that one person could have done it and driven away so fast. There had to have been two people, because he saw the muzzle of the gun shoot, his window shatters, and then he keeps on driving and starts following them. And he followed him for a little while until he realized this is dangerous, and he stopped following him. But obviously, the person was laying in the back, and we know that there's so much evidence. For instance, the Lori and Chad are seen on video surveillance going into their storage unit because they took that tire off the back of Tylee's Jeep Wrangler, so that if the tire's on the back, the window cannot lift up. And in order to make this happen, they needed that window to be up. So they put the tire in the storage shed, and they also needed to take out one of the car seats, like the great big seats, in order for Alex to be able to lay down back there in his black whatever with his muzzle, like lifting up the window, bring his muzzle out, shoot at Brandon. And then as soon as the glass shatters, Brandon keeps driving towards them, and the car drives away. So here's my question. There's really a lot of evidence. There's a lot that suggests that it was Alex.
So as I was kind of pulling in, they lifted their back window.
Okay.
I saw a muzzle. They shot.
That was Brandon describing what happened when he was shot at in October 2019. And I just have to think, who would have motive to be with Alex and be a getaway driver?
I noticed a green Jeep Wrangler.
Okay.
It's like a pukey green
Okay.
color. Had a Texas plate. I just moved in like a week ago, so I
Okay.
thought maybe it was just my neighbor.
Okay.
So as I was kind of pulling in, they lifted their back window.
Okay.
I saw a muzzle. They shot.
Are we talking a real gun, a BB gun?
It's got to be like a BB gun or an airsoft.
Okay,
It was
so
loud.
they shot, then what happened?
It hit my window, and instead of turning in, it scared me really bad.
Okay.
I thought, I'm getting shot at, so I drove straight. So
Okay.
I drove straight really fast.
Okay.
Pulled around the corner, got my phone out, called 911.
Could it be Melani? And here's the thing. After this happened, Brandon fled, as anyone would. He took his kids and he fled to another state, and he was trying to keep his kids safe. Lo and behold, who comes after them, pounding on the door? Melani.
My kids have been held out of state.
You were also criminally trespassed over the phone by me.
And who is she with? Good old Uncle Alex. Even though she was told she cannot come on the property, she still kept trying. She is very aggressive.
You were
I asked
warned,
an officer to come here last night to do a check-in because I'm worried they're in danger.
but you
and
came
they-
over here after being told that you were criminally trespassed.
But I have an agreement saying that.
from this residence, correct?
But my order says that it's my time with my kids. They're supposed to be in Arizona. My
You
husband's kept them
were
out of
trespassed
school
from this
for over a month.
location.
Do you think this appears to be the behavior of an innocent person?
With
Do you have a victim's advocate I can speak to in the police department, please?
Well, la-di-da, here she goes again, using the same language as good old Aunty Lori. Because poor victim Lori needed an advocate after the fatal shooting of her husband, Charles. While Melani's having this interaction with the police and actually getting arrested, good old Uncle Alex is out in the car waiting for her. What would have happened if American Fork Police didn't intervene that night? It's scary to think of. Was Hitman Alex there for a purpose?
What's up, Alex? Yeah. You have your ID on you, man? Yeah.
Let me get that from you real quick.
Can I open the door? I just gotta.
Yeah, if you need to.
In my back pocket.
Just keep your hands out where we can see them. All right?
Based on this behavior, I like to pose a question. Who was the getaway driver? That's the question of the hour. Who was the getaway driver? And here's what we know. Brandon just rented a new place a few days before this happened. And the police asked, who knew where you lived? Well, there were only a handful of people that knew. He said his soon-to-be ex-wife, Melanie, and then some other people in the neighborhood, because when he was moving in his things all by himself, and some neighbors came by and said, oh, let us help. So the neighbors who helped him move in his subdivision knew who he was and where he lived. And other than that, there's only one other person that had that address, and that is Melani Pawlowski, however you want to say it. She's the one that knew. And she had motive. She has so many motives because, of course, she's buying into this whole thing that she claims is not a cult, right? So that's a little bit interesting right there. So this is what Brandon says. That morning, he had the kids at his place. He court-ordered had to give Melanie the address of where he was with the kids. And there's 4 of them. He drives 2 of them to school, drops them off. The 3rd child he takes to a daycare, drops off. And then the 4th child, the young little toddler, he takes to Melanie, drops off the child. Then he goes to the gym, and he's at the gym for a couple hours. In the meantime, that gives plenty of time for Uncle Alex to come over and pick up Melanie with the baby. This is another thing that's just like blows my mind. So did she get a babysitter that day for the little baby that was with her? Well, there's no sign that she did. No one has come forward, and this is all over the internet, as we know. No one has come forward to say that they babysat that baby that morning. So my guess is she put the baby in the back of the Wrangler Jeep and buckled him in. She drove. The whole thing is mind-boggling. And she had plenty of time to then go back home. Alex drives. He literally drove all the way out and all the way back. They have all this within 24 hours. And then Lori is Google searching to see if someone was killed. I think they didn't know for sure if he got shot and if he was wounded, if he was injured, or if he died. They know that he came after them for a little while, but they don't know until later. Now, as far as whether or not Melanie has custody of her children, this is what makes me think she might. This is when she was served about having to go to the trial in Idaho, and she talks about getting her kids to school. And now it's possible that we're talking about Ian's kids and she just calls them her kids. So I can't 100% verify this, but it's a possibility that she does have at least partial custody of her kids.
Testify, what information you have on that pending case. Okay. I assume you're familiar with what I'm talking about. Yeah. The case we're talking about. Yeah. So
yeah, well, let's talk about. I don't know. Sorry, I gotta get my kids to school, so I just gotta get this thing.
Okay. So yeah.
Okay, now let's jump back to the morning after her husband at the time, Brandon Boudreaux, was shot at. Let me show you that interrogation interview. The morning after Alex attempted to shoot Brandon, the police interviewed, however you want to say it, Melani Boudreaux. She was still married to Brandon at the time. They were separated. And I've got pieces of her interview that I want to talk to you about.
Has been bullying. I try to just minimize the texting at all. Last night he kind of blew my phone up and was kind of acting different, and I just didn't want to talk to him. I didn't know what he kind of got himself into, and so relationship isn't awesome.
I'm not going to show the entire interview because there is so much chaff and redirect that goes on with Melanie. Basically, she's trying to draw attention away from herself, in my opinion. And I get that from chaff and redirect is terminology that I learned from watching the behavior panel. And they basically say that a lot of times people will throw things out there to try to get you to go towards something different than what really is happening. In my opinion, there's a lot of victim blaming and a lot of bashing. And I'm not going to give her the time to air the horrible things she says about her soon-to-be ex-husband, Brandon. But I do want to zero in on some of the things that she says that I think are pretty big tells in how she was possibly involved. Let's listen.
Started to do a lot of bad business deals with people that just had many people come to us say, don't do business with this type of person, it's not a good person. So yeah, I mean, I've gotten to a point where there's been so many lies I don't believe what he says anymore, so I don't know how to, we're just doing it the best we can, the back and forth, trying to just not see him as much. If it's a text phone.
Okay. Telephone, or is it text or something else?
We try to just do text, and so he called me a ton of times. Last night he said, can I call you, it's important, and I just over and over calls and texts, and I kind of felt like something was off, and so I just didn't answer. This morning he said, I've had a bad day, and then I responded this morning, and I said, he said, I just want to make sure the kids are okay, so I was like, yeah, the kids are fine, like they were in bed when you called, and we're getting ready for school, it's early in the morning, I hope you're having a better day. But yeah, I tried to only text. That's why it was weird when he was like, I need to call you, left me a message. He said, I don't want to talk about it over the phone.
Did you guys talk at all last night?
No, I just texted him this morning.
Okay.
So.
And what did you text him this morning?
When or what?
Both.
So I just said, yes, the babies are fine. They were tucked in bed, getting ready for school now. Hope you're having a better day. And that was at 6:52 a.m.
Okay. Your day from the moment you woke up to the moment you went to bed last night?
Went to, I don't know. What did we do? Wednesday? Did we go to Aunt Jen's house?
I find it interesting that she asks her toddler, what did we do yesterday? Did we go to Jen's house? And then she switches from saying what she did to saying what she usually does. And based on what I've learned from my behavior panel lessons, this would be the perfect time to stop and say, hang on there. No, wait a minute. If I'm the interrogator, don't tell me what you usually do. Tell me what you did yesterday.
Went to, I don't know. What did we do? Wednesday? Did we go to Aunt Jen's house?
I wish the interrogator would have said, hey, did you happen to go for a ride with Uncle Alex in a Jeep?
We usually just go to the park, we run, sometimes we go to the gym.
Which kids did you have yesterday?
Mommy, it's not working.
So I only pick up...
Papa told me I'm working.
So
I have her during the day, and then after school on Wednesdays, I pick up my others from school.
around what time?
So at 2:40 we got there, and then it takes like 3:20 to finally pick them up at ALA, and then then we went to Santana Mall and we looked at the puppies, then we played there. Didn't go grocery shopping, but then we ordered it online through Amazon, and then we my boring life.
No.
And then then we were home, we made dinner, and then went to bed. I picked my 4-year-old at Legacy, so it's across the street from us, and he goes to all-day fall break camp right now, so I picked him up at 6, and then came back, we went to bed, and then Brandon started calling me 8:30-ish, and we were kind of already in bed at that time, so I was kind of in and out of it, and just kind of felt a little unsettled throughout the night, like, is he going to show up at my house, what's going on?
So you went to the mall yesterday. Who was with you at the mall?
Okay, I'm going to save you a whole bunch of time. You won't have to listen to the whole thing like I did. The bottom line is this. She does a lot of Brandon hate. Now, I get it. People that are going through divorce, they have a lot of bad things to say about their exes, their soon-to-be exes. But this is crazy. And during the custody battle, a lot of the documents are now public record, and a lot of what she's saying is, you know, not completely out there yet, but everything that is showing that she's just lie, 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 lie. She does a lot of lying. But I find it ironic that while she's doing her chaff and redirect, she ends up bringing, and she's trying to stay away from her, she ends up bringing up, as if this is a bad thing towards Brandon's character, so to speak, she brings up the fact that her Aunt Lori's husband was shot and killed by Alex Cox, her beloved uncle, because of a domestic dispute, blah, blah, blah. But she basically is bashing Brandon through all that because Brandon at the time, oh, this is just so complex. At the time, Charles was suspicious that they were going to try to kill him. So he was contacting Brandon to say, I think they're trying to kill me. And so then Melanie tries to use that against Brandon as he too they're trying to kill. So to me, all it does is bring more suspicion on her, but she thinks she's putting it out there. You know, like, this is going to show that Brandon's a bad guy, whatever. The other thing is, as you go along with her timeline, and she takes forever. She does, I mean, gaslighting. Like, just talk about a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't matter, but then when it comes to the parts that do matter, she's forgetful. She can't remember what she did, although she goes along and tells minute by minute by minute everything she did. Went to Jamba Juice, went to the mall, went to all this stuff. But she can't remember exactly what happened in this certain time frame, which happens to be the time frame when allegedly Uncle Alex was shooting at Brandon. She says she was home alone, no alibi, and washing the dishes. Whatever. You know, whatever. I'm not saying every mom has every alibi, whatever, but I think the biggest mistake that she makes during this whole interview is when they finally get around to telling her that her husband was shot at. She has no reaction. She says something to the effect of, oh, that makes me sick to my stomach. But she's not sick to her stomach. She's not reacting. She's not devastated. Oh my word, I should have taken his call last night. This is so horrible. Who's trying to kill my husband? Am I in danger? Are my kids in danger? None of that. None of it. She goes back into her routine of victim blaming Brandon. Like, he deserves to be shot at because blah, blah, blah. I don't know. After she goes on and on explaining about what she usually does on a Wednesday, which has nothing to do with what she did that day, the investigator doesn't let her off the hook, and he keeps coming back to it. No, tell me what you did yesterday at this time. And here's what she said.
I don't think we went anywhere because we were going to go to the gym, but she was like throwing a fit in the back of the car, so I was like, let's just go home. So I just kind of cleaned up the kitchen and kind of stayed home.
After that interview, the detectives didn't really have anything to really suspect her, even though there was a lot of nonsense going on in the interview. But who would think so? I mean, you look at her, she looks like a nice lady, and she looks like she's in a hard divorce and whatever. It's very similar to the way that everyone thought about Lori when she was talking to the investigators after Charles's murder. I mean, it didn't seem right. Things didn't necessarily add up, but, oh, let's get her a victim's advocate. I mean, they suck you in. I'm telling you, they suck you in. So anyway, after this, as you can imagine, Brandon is very suspicious that it's them. He has very good reason to believe that it's his ex-wife, well, soon-to-be ex-wife, and Uncle Alex, because he's already been in contact with Charles, who was killed, and then his life was attempted. So what does he do? He runs for it, like any sane person would. He grabbed his kids and he ran, and he went in hiding. And boy, did that make Melanie mad. And here's why. Like, nobody wants to lose their kids. So you would think that that's the reason that a person's mad. But there might be a little bit more to it for Miss Melanie, Melanice, as we say. For those of you who don't know why we say Melanice, it's just to distinguish between the two Melanies, since Melanice is the niece of Lori. So that's where that comes from. Chad and Lori deem two of Melanice's kids, Melani Pawlowski's kids, as dark. and then as zombies. And you know what happens to dark zombies? Nothing good. She is known to have, there's text messages that have been brought out that show that she's like, oh, sometimes kids turn dark. Oh, it's not like she's trying to defend her kids from them having the same fate that we soon find out Lori's kids have, which isn't good. But anyway, she's buying in hook, line, and sinker. She's trying to say on all her interviews she's not involved in any cult. Well, that's just not true, because all the text messages, calls, all of the proof is in the pudding. She was 100% in like Flynn. So it comes to the point where she needs to get those zombies. They need to be taken out of this world, which are two of her kids. So she goes to Utah to try to find them. She has a feeling they're staying with her in-laws, and sure enough, she finds out her kids are at her in-laws' house. So what does she do? She goes and tries to break in to take them. And she's got her uncle Alex, the hitman, with her. And of course, they're scared to death. Brandon's parents, and the kids. So they have the doors locked. She's pounding on the door. She gets called. They call the police. She gets told to leave the premises. She's got some documents for mediation, which she says shows that the judge says that she's supposed to have her kids. All of this is lies. There's been no court. It's a mediator. It's not a judge. Not to mention, regardless what the judge says, Brandon's in fight for your life, and he's just like, I'll deal with the courts later. I'm sure I would. Who wouldn't? So she's pounding on the door. Police come. They tell her she has to leave. Now, the second day, she tries to go in. The garage door was open, so she goes through the garage, and she's trying to break in, and she's pounding on the doors, scaring everyone, because they know people die around her. And so, again, 911 is called.
Basically, Melani appears to me to be a lot like her Aunt Lori. She is not someone you trifle with. Let's just say that. Now, let's talk about what Melanie Gibb, Lori's friend, said in a secret recorded call when she was talking about Melanie, niece, and whether or not she went to Rexburg to join with her auntie and her uncle.
If you remember, she said she did not go to Rexburg to follow Lori or to follow a cult, but she was there because she needed a break and she needed to get away. But not according to what Melanie Gibb has to say.
And I've been in touch with Melanie, her niece, that got involved, and I've been trying to call her and help her, and she's just really jacked up. Like, she lost her kids, she got divorced.
Oh, no.
And she's up in Rexburg alone. Everybody else abandoned her. I mean, it was sad. It's so sad. Yeah, it's so sad.
So, yet another lie from Melani Pawlowski. I just think she's full of it. But the question is she full of it enough to be a co-conspirator?
All right, thank you so much for sticking with me. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share this out. And we're going to be in tune. We're going to be together on this next trial, and we'll see what happens with Lori Vallow and what new evidence is going to come out during Brandon Boudreaux's day in court to get justification for the attempt on his life. I'll see you soon. See ya.